Welcome to the channel for the first time viewers. Welcome back from my existing subscribers. Today I'm going to discuss how to break a slump in Rainbow Six Siege part 2. I made a video like this back in 2018, so it's a super long time ago. So let's revisit, right? There's only a few steps. Really want to talk about 3 major things that you can do to kind of break a slump, right? So number 1, check out what your distractions are. Try not to play when you're tired. That's one of the things that, you can easily lose focus when you're tired. Stay hydrated, make sure you get some rest. And those, like I said, those are 2 of the things that can lead to more distractions. And lower and eliminate all of your background noise that you can. So if you have music in the background, some of us don't have the luxury of either having a quiet place to play, but some of us do. Like you might be playing with the TV on, can hear it, might miss a footstep here and there. So anything that could cause distractions, loud teammates, maybe going into the Discord or on PlayStation. I know you can lower the actual volume that your teammates are. So like in the party chat, you can lower the volume there. So definitely minimizing your distractions is going to be key to success here. So go ahead and take a couple of those steps. And as always, if you have any extra steps or pieces of advice towards lowering distractions, go ahead and drop that in the comment section, and then we'll go ahead and highlight some of the best ones. All right, so tip number 2 is going to be going back to the basics, right? Head back into training grounds, or formerly known as T-Hunt, and start practicing your movement as well as your first shot accuracy, right? So that sometimes is something that happens is you start off really hot, really crisp, and then you kind of get sloppy over time and you never make any corrective actions. So essentially what happens is over time, you get sloppier and sloppier, and then you're still being rewarded because you're getting some of those body shots. And to you, it's like, okay, cool, I went like 5-2, or I went like 7-1. So it's like, okay, cool. But then you play against people that body shots aren't really gonna get you that kill because they have really good aim, and then you get melted, right? So go back to the basics, make sure that you're still going for headshots, you're still focusing on all of the basics that got you there. Another tip for that would be to kind of transition in and start using some of the aim trainers. So if you don't like T-Hunt, throw on some music, download Kovacs. That's one that I bought. I don't use it as much as I should, unfortunately. And get it back into the flow of actually practicing, right? Because over time, T-Hunt even will get you to a certain point, and then you need more muscle memory tricks, more reactive scenarios to be in that really can either come from gameplay, but Kovacs Aim Trainer on PC at least is a really good way to kind of get the gears going again. I don't know if Battlefield 5 on console has that, but if you can go to one of the sensitivity converters and get your sensitivity the same, or just make like a 360 and notice how far you have to move to do it, there's actually a somewhat decent aim trainer in there where targets pop up and you have to move across the map and it gets progressively harder. So that would be one that you could use, but definitely Kovacs is just the easiest way to do it if you're on mouse and keyboard. The other thing you could do is find a white wall on console, find like 3 or 4 different places and just flick back and forth between them until you get that distance right, and then start incorporating more places that you can kind of snap your aim to. And then one thing that people kind of forget when you first get started and you start taking the game a little bit more seriously, I feel like we used to take a lot more time warming up. So take about 20 minutes to warm up before hopping into a ranked. It could be via casual, it could be just an aim trainer, it could be just, getting your mind right. So take some time to warm up before just hopping into the game. It's going to increase your mental sharpness, and also it'll get the cobwebs out. You can also just hop straight into a ranked. I know I'm contradicting what I'm saying, but you can also hop straight into a ranked, and then the pressure and the, the feeling that, oh man, everything counts. Everything's like right then and there. By the second ranked game, you'll be all right. But also that's also like 20-25 minutes that you've been playing the game. So again, take about 20 minutes to warm up, and it should increase your mental awareness and some of your muscle memory. And tip number 3 for breaking a slump in Rainbow Six Siege is going to be do the small things that help you increase your odds, right? You want to leverage angles. You want to use the best attachments. So figure out if you're really bad at the first shot recoil, then muzzle brake might actually be better for you than compensator. Or if you're somewhere in the middle like me, then flash hider is probably the best accessory. Some people, back when I did this video the first time, it was all compensator all the time. So definitely take a look at the different options. Make sure that you're using the best one for you, because like I said, if you're really bad with the first shot recoil, muzzle brake. If you have hard time controlling, somewhere down the middle, then flash hider. And if you just like to hold down and just pull, then compensator is always going to be the go-to. The other thing you want to look into is choose your operators carefully. So you might not have to out frag everybody, because remember, the goal is we've been losing, we've been getting smacked around, and we want to stop that, right? So you may have to actually switch who you play. So for instance, if you're an Ashe main and you've just been getting fragged out every single time, switch to support. You know, there's a lot of support players that you can still frag with. Zofia, Capitao, who's like amazingly OP right now because they gave him the hard breach device. Habana, there's a lot of people that are still valuable. Thatcher, that you can go to and still frag, but maybe play that support role so that if you get eliminated, you've done something for the team that allows you to carry on. Because I'd rather go 3-5 or 3-6 and get a win versus going like 10-2 and get a loss. That's just me personally. I'd rather win, right? Perfect world, you'd win and you'd frag out. But sometimes you don't get that opportunity. Another thing that you should do in the same lines of increasing your odds is kind of reflect and recap your rounds. So how did they get in the building? You should be kind of having these conversations with your teammates, like how did they get in the building? How did we win that round, or how did we lose that round? And just stay sharp, right? So if there's one dude that always goes in, let's say on a map like Coastline, they always go in through hookah. Okay, well, let's pick that dude off when he goes in through hookah, and let's also be aware that there's somebody on the roof, so that after we pick this guy off, we might have to go down Cool Vibe stairs and come back up the next to service. So it's just one of those things that you have to kind of plot out and just be aware so you can get that competitive advantage. And then I would also say joining each other in is also going to increase the odds. So I would say at least if you're a 5-stack, have 2 people joining the others around. If possible, even go to 3, right? And then once you find the area you can exploit, everybody go to it. So just make a full commitment. Maybe one person's watching flank, one person's going in, like they're pushing into the site to try to frag whoever they can, and then the other ones are just kind of doing the work because they're support operators. So that is kind of how you can break the slump. All right, now this is going to be like I said, those are the main 3 tips I have for you for this video. The rest of this is just going to be kind of extras, right? So something that if you wanted to, throw in on top of any of the other 3, then go for it. So like I said, I actually wrote this list back in May, and COVID happened, and I just never got back to it. I never even really looked in my OneNote to go get this content. But let's go ahead and run through the extras. So things that you could do for increasing your focusing, right? Stop using your phone. Like I said earlier, being tired and hopping on with a loud background, that's not gonna help, right? For the parents out there like me, kids not sleeping through the night, some things that you might have to deal with, you know what I mean? So when you have a lack of sleep, you actually will fall back, and you'll feel like, for me, I can speak for myself, I feel slower. Like I feel like I have a slower reaction time, and I feel like it's a lot of mental thinking to just do some of the basic things. Like if I'm going to like push somebody and I know where they are, it's just like, it just feels different versus when I'm rested. And you would think that would be different versus when you're playing, right? And then as far as for comms, when you actually go through, just poor comms cause you to get losses. Like it just is what it is. When you die, don't shut down, hop on cams. That's one of the biggest things that you can still do. You can still contribute. You can watch a drone, flank drone. You can say, hey, somebody's pushing up behind you, teammate gets the kill. Now it's 4v4. So always be in the game, right? Don't just die and hop on TikTok, which I've been guilty of myself a couple of times. And then, like I said, with the aim, it's more of a rhythmic thing, right? You get into a flow, and then at that point, that's when you kind of hit your zone. You're doing your thing. You really can't lose. You just feel like, damn, I'm slapping everybody, and then you still get rewarded, like I said earlier, and then it's just a progressive cliff that you go down. Another thing I would say, another extra would be changing too much when you're trying to get at where you were at mechanically, right? So like when you're like, you might change the height of your seat. You might change the way you have your arm on a table or on your desk. You might change your control sensitivity. You might like sit forward or lean back. So when you change too much, remember your whole body has to start adapting. And that's where you just create more work for yourself trying to get the muscle memory back, right? So it just is what it is. Sometimes our circumstances change and you might not have that same desk anymore. But that's the little stuff, the little tiny stuff that for me, like I stopped changing my sensitivity. People say your sense is too high. I'm like, yeah, but when I was fragging out and I was doing my thing, this was the sense I was using. And I know it's stubborn because it's like, okay, well, if you lowered it, you might do better. But at the same time, like my muscle memory is like I've been playing too much Warzone, so it's like used to that a little bit. But if I get used to this again, this is where I was at when I was at my peak. So I'm just gonna get used to it again and put in some extra time. So another thing that you need to keep an eye out is you need to evolve with the meta. So if the meta right now it's that heart breach device and sound, like everything that has to do with sound is like amplified in this game. They got the little that detector. I can't even think of the name of it right now, but that little detector that goes off every time you go by it. The proximity mine. Or the proximity sensor that goes off every time you go by it. So anything that has to do with sound, Malusi makes that the whoop whoop bass. So that's one of those things that, you know, if you get a 3-speed, you can't just like zip past anymore thinking that, okay, nobody's going to know I was here. Because if those mines are around, or if those sensors are around, or if Malusi's, got the Banshee's around, then it's always going to make some noise. It's going to kind of mess things up a little bit. So now we have to kind of address those things, get a Thatcher to EMP it real quick while you make that push. So evolving with the meta is huge. So we don't know what's coming next. It could be something where you have like a whole bunch of OP guns and like not getting shot through, like you're not getting shot once. It's going to be the thing. Moving along, some more extras is confidence, and this goes across every single game. You have to take your gunfights confidently, because what happens when you go in and you're like, I'm gonna lose this, typically you will. Versus you've seen it, like that one friend we all have that just goes in like, it's like, yo, I can't believe he lived. It's just because it's like some of them are just fraggers, but they have that level of confidence that they're just like, I'm going in, I'm gonna frag everybody, and if I die, whatever, I'll just pick up next round. So that's one mindset. And then another mindset that kind of hinders us is, I don't want to cost the team the round. Let me play it safe. And then somebody else pushes you, and then like you hit them twice, they just headshot you, and you lose still. So really, I'd say just play more confident. Don't do anything crazy, but at the same time, if you're gonna do something, commit to it and do it as best as you can. Right. Another thing, when I mentioned engagements, poor angles. So if you keep losing your gunfights, try taking tighter angles. Try being a little bit more patient. And then just Peeker's advantage, it kind of goes both ways, so it's not as big a factor as it used to be, but just be in the mindset of, I'm going to hold really nice angles and I'm going to try to set up my kills a little bit better. And with that, you should have some more success and be able to get out that slump. Let me know what else you guys want to add to it, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Be easy.